Hey guys, it's Lainey here, and I'm super excited because, as you can tell by the title of today's video, we're actually starting something new, a new series I recently came up with. So, just to tell you a little bit about what it's going to be about, um, the whole idea kind of sparked after talking to a bunch of my friends about some of the questions they had about the pageant system that I participate in. And they had so many questions, and I was trying to think of the best way to educate them on it. And I started thinking, if they have all these questions, I'm sure so many other people have questions as well. So after a few weeks of brainstorming, I came up with this idea to create a series called Just a Girl and Her Crown. And I'm super excited because for today's episode, we're actually going to be doing a little fact versus fiction, so like a fact or fiction. I'm going to be kind of like stating questions or like stereotypes that you kind of hear about the pageant world, and I'm going to be telling you guys whether they are fact or fiction and why they are fact or fiction. So the vlog's going to start out, at least this episode at least, and probably the next few are going to start out as more educational and informative vlogs. And then I'm hoping we can transition it into kind of like my journey with my crown and everything. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get straight into the fact or fiction portion of this video. So I want you guys to grab a pen and paper and then write down, I'm just going to state the questions first. We're going to go through 6 of them. I'm just going to state the questions first, and then I want you guys to write down whether you think it's going to be fact or fiction. So to start, the first question is that most people think pageants are expensive. So the question is, are pageants expensive? Fact or fiction? The second question is, or more of a statement than a question, is you have to use a lot of fake stuff and products to do pageants. Fact or fiction? The next one is the prettiest girl always wins the pageant. Fact or fiction? And then the next one is after you win a pageant, that's it. There's no more you can do. Fact or fiction? And then you have to be a certain age for pageants. Fact or fiction? And then the last question I'm going to be talking about today is pageants are all about walking in a pretty dress. Fact or fiction? So I wrote down my beliefs for all of these questions and whether I kind of know whether they're fact or fiction or not because I've spent many years in the pageant system. So I kind of have experience with all of this, and that's why I can state whether I believe it is fact or fiction. And yeah, let's just go right ahead. So for the first question, it was pageants are expensive. I wrote this is fiction. Of course, everything comes with a little bit of financial obligations. Most pageants require an entry fee, or maybe not even an entry fee, but a lot of places, especially in the Miss America organization, which is the pageant system I have been born and raised in, almost all of the locals, and especially at the state level, you have to compete. There's a requirement of raising money for the Children's Miracle Network. So although that's not a financial obligation out of your pocket, it is raising funds financially to support a nonprofit program. So that's a little bit of like a financial obligation, but at the same time, it's not money coming out of your pocket. So therefore, I wouldn't necessarily declare that as expensive. But some other reasons why I feel like it is fiction, pageants are not expensive, is because a lot of people don't realize that there's so many sponsorship opportunities out there. A lot of my wardrobe is actually sponsored by some of the boutiques in my area, or just dress shops that I commonly go to. But from my personal experience within the state of Maryland, I have not found that pageants are very expensive. I mean, depending on how much you plan to put into your pageant wardrobe or makeup or hair, those kind of things. Of course, those expenses can add up and then create it to be expensive, but none of those are mandatory obligations for the pageant system. They're just kind of like add-ons that you can choose to do, and many girls do them, but they're not a requirement. So pageants in itself are not expensive because there's not many financial obligations that are required. The next question is, you have to use a lot of fake stuff or products to do pageants. Now, this is totally untrue for the Miss America organization. For all of these, I can only speak for the pageant system that I've participated in, which is the Miss America organization. They're more of a natural, soft-looking kind of glam. We never have used, like, the flippers, which are, like, fake teeth. Like the big poofy hair that you would see, like, maybe on some TV shows or things like that. Those are not things that we often do. Some of the girls choose to get spray tans, myself included, but some of the girls choose to get spray tans, but they're not something that, like, everybody does, and it's not a mandatory thing as well. So as far as fake products go, definitely not. It's more of a natural-based pageant is what we kind of are known for in the Miss America organization. They want to see you for the real you, and especially since it's not only a beauty pageant, it's labeled as a scholarship pageant. The looks are not the only thing they're going to be looking at throughout the pageant, so worrying about all of the fake gear that's going to make you look prettier, per se, are unnecessary. People don't do them. So that statement is fiction. The next statement is, the prettiest girls always win the pageant. I just kind of talked about this when I said that the Miss America organization is not a beauty pageant. It is a scholarship organization. It's a scholarship pageant. So being a Miss contestant, I had to mail in when I entered the pageant. I had to mail in my transcripts. So they are looking at your grades. There's a sit-down interview for 10 minutes where the judges get to ask you questions for 10 minutes straight. Like, that's such an intimate thing where they get to know personally who you are, not just based on your looks. Some beauty pageants, you don't even get to talk to the contestants. You just view them up on stage, and you are judging them solely on your looks. But the thing that I think I love most about the Miss America organization is that they take the time to individually connect with each of the candidates who are competing. And I think that's really important to remember, because most people just, like, automatically think, like, oh, it's a beauty pageant, they're going to be looking at looks, and that's it. But with the Miss America organization, things are very different, and they are not only looking at looks, they're looking at basically everything else, too. So, like, they want to make sure you're a well-rounded person. So, yeah, keep that in mind when thinking about entering the pageant system. Okay, so that statement is deemed fiction, not fact. Okay, so the next one is, after you win a pageant, that's it. There's nothing else you can do. Well, I would deem this as fiction as well. In the pageant system, when you are fortunate enough to win a title, so many doors are open for you and so many opportunities then become available. For example, I am a huge advocate for anti-bullying. And when a few years back when I was Miss Maryland's preteen, when I received that title, so many more opportunities became available for me to advocate even further into that platform of mine at the time. Being anti-bullying, I actually got a meeting with the superintendent of schools for my county. I met with the mayor, the governor. I got to meet with so many different people and discuss my ambitions for anti-bullying and what I wanted to do to help end the fight against bullying. And some of those opportunities never would have become available for me if I hadn't participated in the Miss America organization. They are so incredible in working with you to make your goals become a reality. So everything that I wanted to achieve with that title, they did everything they could to push towards that happening. And I know it's the same way for the outstanding teen contestants and the Miss contestants, especially those who are fortunate enough to win a state title. Even holding a local title, such as the one I have now, like Miss Appalachia. Having that title, even at the local level, has still opened doors for me. I've had the opportunity to be in many parades, and through those parades I get to talk with little kids and families that I see on the parade route, or even after the parade route, when the little girls come up to me and ask me for a picture or a hug, or if they want to wear my crown or something like that. I get to explain to them the importance of being kind to one another. But a lot of girls use that opportunity to advocate for their social impact initiative. So that's another huge thing in the Miss America organization. And through those opportunities and doors that are opened, I know a lot of young ladies have received incredible job opportunities. Some of them continue working in the pageant system, and then some of them, because of the title and the people they got to meet, they work for a superintendent of schools if that's what they'd like, or they go into a field of interest of theirs where they've had an opportunity to sit down and have an interview with somebody who's higher up in that field. So a lot of those doors are opened for you throughout the pageant system, whether you being a state title holder or not. Something as small as being a local title holder opens those doors as well. So that's another incredible thing about the pageant system. So the statement of, after you win a pageant, that's it, there's nothing more you can do, I would deem fiction, because there's so many things that the pageant system leads you to. So, although the statement of having to be a certain age to compete in the Miss America organization pageants is fact, there are some ways you can kind of go around that, such as competing or participating in the Prince/Princess program, while also competing in, as you get a little bit older, you can then compete/participate in the preteen program, and then once you become of age, you can compete at the Miss Maryland pageant on the outstanding teen level, and then as you get even older, you can then compete in the Miss pageant. Yeah, so basically the age range is like from 3 to 26, but competitively wise, so winning a state title, you can compete when you're a little bit older, but basically everybody is eligible to participate in some form of the Miss America organization's scholarship pageants. Now, the last question in the fact or fiction segment is that pageants are all about walking and looking pretty in a dress. Now, I would like to say this is true, but it's not. Totally fiction. Our evening gown / red carpet apparel is actually a very small portion of our score when it comes to our preliminary events at our Miss Maryland Week pageant. There's so many other portions of competition that go into it. We have the sit-down 10-minute interview that we have with the judges before our on-stage events. We then have our on-stage question / interview. We have our red carpet apparel, our social impact initiative statement, and then we also have our talent. So there's so many other things that go into it. And walking in a pretty dress is, of course, one of those portions of our competition, but it's not the only thing the Miss America organization is all about. Now, besides all of those portions of competition, the community service opportunities that are made available throughout the Miss America organization are truly incredible. Being involved in the system since I was a little girl has been basically life-changing. I've received so many opportunities that I never would have thought possible without the Miss America organization. I remember the first time I ever visited a Children's Miracle Network hospital, and I remember taking my crown off and putting it on a young lady who was there for treatments. she had cancer, and putting my crown on top of her head and seeing the look on her face and how excited she got, it was almost like it was a dream come true for her, and it was also a dream come true for me, because I was getting to make this little girl happy who was going through such a difficult time. And that's something I never would have had the opportunity to do without competing in the Miss America organization's pageants. Children's Miracle Networks or network hospitals are such a huge part of the Miss America organization. We have such a huge partnership with them that all of us are raising funds throughout the entire year to donate to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And although they are such a huge part of our pageant, other community service opportunities are also available. I've gotten to speak at multiple career days at local elementary schools. I've gotten to tell them all about the pageant system, and I love when I get the opportunity to see them at a local pageant wanting to be a princess or prince when they come in. It's so exciting to know that because we are given the opportunities to outreach into the community and kind of educate the youth on pageants and the system. I love when they turn around and come back and really participate. It's like everything we're kind of working towards is being accomplished, and throughout those community service opportunities is when that happens. And that's probably my favorite part about the whole pageant system, getting out into the community and all of like the hands-on activity that we are eligible to do because of our titles that we hold through the system. It's pretty incredible. So that deems the pageants are all about walking in a pretty dress statement as fiction. And that actually covers the 6 questions I wanted to go over, because I feel like those are some of the stereotypes that a lot of people hear. They're like, oh, pageants are all about walking in a dress, or who's the prettiest, or things like that. Like, they're only looking at what you look like. They're so expensive. Who would want to waste money on that? But, like, little do they know, all of those things can be disproven. All of those stereotypes are just, after all, stereotypes. They're not always true. So, okay, so now that we've finished today's video of fact versus fiction, I just wanted to say that if you guys have any questions about the Miss America organization or the Miss Maryland organization specifically, feel free to DM me. If you want more information in regards to how to get involved, I will be linking the Miss Maryland website in the description down below, so you can check that out as well. I also wanted to say that the Miss Maryland organization is actually still accepting princesses for this season. They're actually extending the deadline, so check out the description down below. It will have all of that information in it, deadlines, any financial obligations as a princess. I don't really think there are many, but if there are, I will be linking all of that in the description down below. So any information regarding the Miss Maryland organization Princess program will also be in the description. So if you would like to get your child involved, you still have time for this season. So that means she could be my princess or he could be my prince at Miss Maryland this June, which would be pretty incredible. They'd get to come up on stage with me and spend some time with me at Miss Maryland. I also wanted to say that if you are curious to find out more about the Miss Maryland organization or just kind of want to see what a pageant's like, I'll be linking ticket information to Miss Maryland Week down below as well in the description. It's pretty inexpensive, pretty affordable, and it's really educational just to kind of go and see what it's like. Of course, hearing somebody talk about it is one thing, but seeing it with your own 2 eyes and in person is something totally different, and will give you an idea of whether the pageant system is something you would like to be a part of. Now, before I close this video, I just want to say that I think the Miss Maryland organization has changed my life for the better. I think some of the most beneficial aspects of the Miss Maryland organization specifically are the availability to have an impact on my community. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm a huge advocate for anti-bullying. It's actually my social initiative, my social impact initiative. So I've spent a lot of time doing outreach in my community since the time I was a little girl in regards to bullying and putting an end to it. And without the Miss America organization, some of those opportunities that have been made available to me would not have ever been possible. So another way the Miss America and Miss Maryland organization have been extremely beneficial is through the scholarship funds that we receive for competing. Like I mentioned earlier in the video as well, just for stepping on stage at Miss Maryland, you do receive scholarship money. Making top 5, you make extra, the closer you get to being Miss Maryland, the more you make, so the more scholarship money you receive in return. So I personally love being on stage and love having the opportunity to be out in my community. So being fortunate enough to be a part of the Miss Maryland and Miss America organization and receiving those scholarship funds is life-changing. And another fun fact about the Miss Maryland/Miss America organization is that all outstanding teen title holders who win a state level title receive a full ride to the University of Alabama. I feel like so many people don't know this. Nobody really knows, but if you're fortunate enough to win the title of Miss Maryland's Outstanding Teen or Miss New York's Outstanding Teen or any state that competes, if you're fortunate enough to win that state level Outstanding Teen title, you then receive a full ride to the University of Alabama, which is such an incredible opportunity. So if you're a teen and have any type of interest in the pageant system, be sure to check it out, because who knows, one day you might win your state's Outstanding Teen title. And then, like I said, so many doors are made available and so many opportunities are made available to you. But yes, that covers everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. And don't forget, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, or feel free to DM me on any of my social media platforms. But if you liked today's video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below, and tell me what other type of videos you would like to see in future episodes of A Girl and Her Crown. But yeah, until next time, bye!